Some sayings may be cliche, but one saying that carries a very, very heavy truth is the saying, comparison is the thief of joy. You see someone get engaged, get a promotion at work. You see another person that has gone to Bali 5 times this year. People are having kids, and suddenly your life that was joyful just 10 minutes ago it's no longer joyful. You now feel like you're behind. If you feel like everyone else is winning except you, please hear me. The speed you are going through life with is not a problem. Your pace in life is not a problem. Your story isn't too late. You're not failing and you're not running out of time. As a matter of fact, you're right on time for the life that you're supposed to be living. Today, let's talk about how you can stop comparing your journey. Not by pretending that you don't care about how other people's journeys are going, but by learning how to honor the life that God is currently writing for you. Join me as we heal that comparison wound. Hello, my name is Pearl, and welcome to Intentional Living. Now, this might blow your mind, but comparison is actually not a negative thing. It's not a flaw in character. It's actually a function of the human brain. We compare because we are looking for identity and safety. It's actually one of the tenets of emotional intelligence to self reflect in a way that builds your awareness of self. Asking yourself questions like, am I doing enough? Or is there more for me? Or is there any way I can do what I'm currently doing better? It helps us as we grow and as we learn in our journey through life to ask ourselves this question, to look introspectively and try and do things differently than we've always done it. In this way, comparison is somewhat a tool that, if used appropriately, can actually assist you in broadening your knowledge scope as well as developing your identity. So, what's the problem? The problem is that when comparison is not used in such a manner, it can be very, very harmful to our mental and physical well being. We find ourselves measuring our lives with someone's curated highlight reel on Instagram, and we start to crave the blessing, but not the process. We forget that everyone has a peculiar journey and everyone's timeline is customized to that journey. And we assume that success is a race between everybody and there's only one finish line. What if that envy you feel is not a negative thing that is supposed to breed bitterness and hatred? What if that's your inner compass trying to direct you to the exact thing that you're supposed to carry? Something comes to mind as I say this, and it's this concept that we find throughout scripture where God hides people to grow people. You and someone else might be in the exact field, in the exact industry, with the exact same capabilities. And this person is getting opportunities and open doors that in all your years of practice, you've not been able to. And then you find yourself comparing yourself to that person and thinking, I could definitely do that better than this person is currently doing it. I have better skills, I have better ideas. Why isn't this coming to me? But then we forget that sometimes God calls us into a season of isolation and separation to prepare us. If I had $1 for every big sensation that has come out of every industry, entertainment, music, TV, and these people grow so exponentially overnight, and in 2, 3 years, they are nowhere to be found. They enjoy 15 minutes of fame, and before you know it, that flame dies out and everyone keeps asking, where has this person gone? This person could have done so much more than they were able to do. And honestly, when I see situations like that and I see stories like that, it makes me appreciate my own customized pace in life because it helps me realize that it's not about the first person to be announced in that particular field. It's about the person who has remained there long enough to impact another generation of people coming into that field. I guess what I'm trying to say summarily is that I am a person that actually appreciates substance over platform. I ask you again, what if God is hiding you to grow you? What if, like David and Joseph and all of these people we read about in scripture and we appreciate their journeys, God is taking you through a season that's going to equip you so that when the platform comes, you have both the substance and the maturity to handle it with grace and in a way that impacts future generations. I say all that to say that your delay might be that very protection that you have been praying to God for. As usual, I'm going to tell you a secret. Life is not linear, it's layered. Some people peak early, some people peak much later in life. Some people bloom quietly and then suddenly out of nowhere, boom, they explode. It's funny because we read about many billionaires on the Forbes list, and it's almost as though we don't take into consideration at what age they achieved that milestone. And this is what I mean by we fall in love with the blessing and not the process. Is that once we see the finished product, our brains deceive us to tell us that the finished product is achievable without going through the process that person went through to achieve that finished product. The main point that you must understand from this is that blooming late does not mean that your bloom is going to be any dimmer or any less than those who bloomed early. I'm currently in one of those seasons where I feel left behind. Ideally, we compare ourselves to the people that we went to university with, the people who graduated the same year as we did, and how far they've gone with their lives. And I see my colleagues from university getting married, having kids, buying houses, and I'm currently unemployed, living in my father's house. I can't even say that with a straight face. Unmarried, without kids. And if I'm being very honest with all of you in this particular video, without a solid plan of my next 5 to 10 years. So, yes, I can relate to the feeling of being left behind and as if my life isn't going as it should because other people seem to be achieving milestones that I'm either yet to achieve or honestly may never achieve. But as I look back, I realize that this feeling is not new. It's a feeling that I felt when I was in secondary school and people were achieving milestones that I wasn't achieving. It's a feeling that I felt when I had finished law school and I was working for a law firm while my colleagues were already starting law firms of their own. And when I look back at all those times that I felt left behind and to all those times that I thought that I was falling off track, I realized that those years of my life were not wasted. I was building capacity, and simultaneously, God was giving me roots. And though I don't have the applause of the crowd, I have capacity that has been built on the inside of me and cannot be taken away from me. I want this to encourage you to also be a person that prioritizes roots over fruits. Now, I'm going to give you 5 practical ways to break the comparison cycle. The first one I'm going to say is going to come quite shocking, but this is something that I did in my personal life that I believe truly helped me. Unfollow them. There's a Bible verse that I love very much. I take it from the book of Proverbs 4, verse 23. I'm going to paraphrase it, and it says that we need to guard our hearts and our minds because the springs of life flow from it. This means that what we feed our minds, our inner thoughts, our emotions, our intentions, and our motivations are going to produce the fruit that we see, which is our words, our actions, and ultimately our decisions. And so, if you want to stop comparing yourself to other people, I would advise that you do exactly what I did. I went through my social media and I just unfollowed a lot of my colleagues. I had to be very truthful to myself, and I realized that the more that I saw the paths that my colleagues were walking on and the milestones they were achieving, it made me want to drift away from my own path and do the exact same thing that they were doing. I realized that it was starting to make me question if I was doing the right things. Unfollowing them meant that I had a blank slate and I could figure out my own life, my peculiar journey, what is it I wanted for that life, and how I was going to achieve it. It gave me the breathing room that I needed to dream and think differently from what every other person who had the same background as I did was doing. So, yes, you might want to do this or not, but the most important thing that I want you to note is that each and every one of us must take a very honest look at what exactly is triggering that insecurity or that comparison in us and find a way to eliminate it. Another practical way that I started dealing with this spirit of comparison was to celebrate what I couldn't see. The thing about human beings in general is that we find it very difficult to celebrate small wins. We set these big milestones and these goals for ourselves, and if we haven't achieved them completely, then our brains tell us that we have nothing to celebrate. There's something someone I respect always says. He says that when a farmer puts a seed in the ground, he doesn't start to cry, "Oh, my seed, oh, my seed." Why? Because he understands that though you can't see anything yet, the seed is taking root and something is blossoming, something is growing. In the same way, just because we haven't achieved the big goals yet does not mean that there aren't things that we can celebrate before our time of harvest. The truth is, yes, you might not have been able to get the money to buy the house, but you've strengthened a particular character in your ability to keep aside money towards a purpose, which is a financial discipline that I think only 3% of the world's population is able to actually achieve. Though I have not been able to complete this task, I see the small wins. I see my character growing. I see certain habits that I didn't have before and that I was trying to build strengthen. I see myself becoming more disciplined. What I'm saying is that growth is happening. You can't see it, you can't measure it. Sometimes it's not even tangible, but growth is happening. And even if it's not something you can post on social media, it's something you can celebrate. The third practical thing that you can do is to turn comparison into curiosity. Sometimes, and not all the time, because some people are just evil and envious, but sometimes the very thing we envy is a desire that we have but haven't achieved. So instead of thinking, why this person? Why not me? It's actually a call for you to reflect and discover if this thing, this attributes, this achievement that you're envying in another person is your inner compass trying to direct you to what you should be doing. So in that way, comparison becomes a teacher and not a thief. It tells you that there's an inward desire that you have to either become something or to be doing something with your life. And that is something worth exploring. The fourth practical thing that you can do is to redefine what success means to you. One of the things that I've learned in life is that success without alignment can only lead to emptiness. That's why when you completed that master's degree and everyone was celebrating you, there was still something on the inside of you telling you that you hadn't done anything worth celebrating. Many times we embark on projects and activities in life because we've convinced ourselves that that is the next step for our lives. And many times when we achieve these massive feats, we still feel empty because though we were successful, in quotes, we weren't aligned to what we were supposed to be doing. This compels us to ask questions like, what actually matters to me? Who am I becoming? When I'm on my deathbed and I look back at my life, what will I regret not doing? When your definition of success becomes personal, comparison loses its power because 80% of the time we are called to do something that no one else around us is doing. So when we introspectively decide what success means to us, we are then able to draw out a personalized map on how to achieve said success. The fifth practical way that you can stop comparison is something that might sound cliche, but I've already said on this channel was very, very transformative in different seasons of my life. And that is practicing gratitude. And when I say practice gratitude, I mean practicing gratitude for real, not the curated version. Another Bible verse comes to mind as I say that. And this Bible verse is actually taken from the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 18. It's not a very long Bible verse. It simply says that in everything we should give thanks. But I want to talk for a second about the context in which this verse was written. The Thessalonian church had lost a couple of their members to persecution and oppression. They had buried so many people in such a short time. And Paul was writing to this church while facing his own persecution and oppression. Yet we find him say, In everything, give thanks. And this is a bit confusing because the world teaches us that we should only express gratitude when something positive has been done to us or a gift has been given us. But I think there is a particular power that we as human beings need to unlock. And that is the ability to practice gratitude even when things don't appear to be going fine. Gratitude while you're still waiting for a promise to be fulfilled. Gratitude while a season of waiting is turning into years and years and years of frustration, closed doors, shut down opportunities. The ability to practice gratitude in these seasons makes us connect to a power outside ourselves that we cannot generate internally. And I think this is the real hack. Because gratitude doesn't mean that you're denying what you desire or that you've become frustrated to a point where you have bakamu. I know that's vernacular and many of us don't understand that. But bakamu means you've just accepted it that you're not destined to get that thing. This is not the kind of gratitude that I'm talking about. This type of gratitude accepts that you are worthy even before that desire becomes a reality. This kind of gratitude is actually a move of faith, a move of hope that what you believe is exactly what's going to happen to you. The hard truth is you're not going to stop comparing yourself to other people overnight. Your brain will still try to do this exact same thing tomorrow. But each time you catch yourself comparing yourself to someone else and you pull yourself back to your own path, you are strengthening your confidence muscle. Your life doesn't need to look like the lives you see on social media. It doesn't even need to impress others around you for your life to be meaningful. You just have to keep on moving, not rushing, but aligned. You're going to look back and truly thank God that you didn't get what you wanted at the time you wanted it. And as life goes on, you learn that God doesn't just prepare a blessing, He prepares you for the blessing so that when the blessing comes, it will be permanent and not something that can easily be taken from you. If this spoke to you, kindly let me know in the comments. What's one area of your life that you're going to prioritize progress over pressure? And if you are intent on building a more intentional life, hit the subscribe button. Let's grow slowly on purpose and together. See you next week. Bye.